Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are having a great day from wherever you're watching from. We have a very important topic to discuss today, and that is a direct threat and message the United States government has for China involving a very specific location. Before we get into all of that and much more, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe, comment with your thoughts below, and now, as always, let's run into what we're talking about today. Tensions are obviously building between the United States and China. They have been for some time, going way back before President Donald Trump returned to office. And most of that tension is around the South China Sea, Taiwan, our allies in the Pacific, Australia, and mounting fears of an armed conflict with China. Of course, there's a lot more to the story than just that, and China is trying to push its influence all over the world. One of the places China is attempting to get control of and push the United States out of is the Panama Canal. Now, why is the Panama Canal important? It's not just the fact that the United States of America built the Panama Canal, which we did. It is the fact that it controls connecting the Caribbean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. It is what is referred to as a potential choke point. If you can shut down the Panama Canal, you, in theory, can shut down shipping and the shortcut from one ocean to another. That is a huge advantage for whoever controls it in the event of a potential conflict. Now, the United States, we lost our men building it. We lost our blood and treasure building it. And then we stupidly gave it back to Panama several decades ago. President Trump has made it clear that it is a major priority of his administration to get the canal back. It is a major priority of the entire country in our national security and our national interest to make sure we control the Panama Canal and that China is not allowed to ever have influence over it, because then in the event of an actual conflict, whether that be over Taiwan or something else, if we need to flood resources in and we have resources in the Atlantic that we want to send to the Pacific, we're going to send them potentially through the Panama Canal. It is a shortcut. If China controls it, that might not be allowed to happen. At the same time, China would be able to flood resources through it. So it would be incredibly foolish of the United States to get in a situation where China was able to control the Panama Canal, even though that is what they are attempting to do. So President Donald Trump has said, we're not going to let it happen. It will not be tolerated. And those are the moves they're making. And now we have Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is in Panama, and he had a very blunt, direct message for the Chinese, the CCP government out of Beijing, and frankly, the government of Panama as well. So let's go ahead right now. Let's see what Pete Hegseth had to say. Let's roll the clip right now.
China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners.
So right there in that clip, you saw Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth says China will not be allowed to control the Panama Canal. China cannot control the Panama Canal. And essentially, the United States government is going to do whatever it can do to get control of that. And there is a very simple way for that to happen, and that would hopefully be through a diplomatic process, a process where we convince the government of Panama they are much better off working with us than they are working with China. After all, we're right in their backyard. China's on the other side of the world. We can offer huge amounts of money. We can offer economic assistance. We can offer military assistance. And you get to remain an ally of the United States, which any smart country should obviously want to do. As with the Chinese, we all know you can't trust the CCP as far as you can throw them. So they might say one thing and then very quickly do another. That is the nature of the Chinese government. I cannot stress this enough. We hear distractions all the time. We hear about what's going on in Eastern Europe between Russia and Ukraine. We hear about what's going on in the Middle East with Israel and Iran and all that stuff. And it's not to say that that stuff's not important. There's a big difference between what's going on in the Middle East and a potential direct conflict with the Chinese. What's happening in the Middle East, I've said it before and I'll keep saying it, has zero impact on your day-to-day life as an American. What's happening in Eastern Europe has no real impact on your day-to-day life as an American. If we get into a shooting war with China, that has a direct impact on your life. We ship in cheap Chinese goods that American consumers obviously buy, although with the tariffs now, that is a whole different beast of what is kind of going on there because we're slapping tariffs on China, China's slapping tariffs on us, and onward and onward and onward and onward we go. We have to control the Panama Canal. It's that simple. We can never get in a situation where Chinese warships or even merchant vessels carrying supplies to China are allowed to pass through. I'll give you one example. If we blockade China, let's say China decides to invade Taiwan, we cannot militarily push them back. Thus, we decide to do a blockade. We decide to cut off China from the rest of the world. Well, what if China is able to ship goods through the Panama Canal and try to push our blockade? They could do it. We've seen a blockade in the Cuban Missile Crisis. But it would be way more expensive and way more difficult for them if they had to send their ships the long way instead of cutting through the Panama Canal. It would raise the cost of everything. It would delay things. It would give us more time to react. That is one small example of how we could handle the Chinese threat by having control of the Panama Canal. Here's the other thing. We built it. The United States of America spent our blood, our money, and our treasure building it. At some point, we have to have an honest discussion about the fact that when you build something and we are the people responsible for it, we're the people responsible for creating it, we're in essence owed something for that. That might be hard for people to understand. That might be hard for people to hear. But I'm an American. And my only priority, my only concern is looking out for Americans. And when we send our blood, treasure, and resources to build something like the Panama Canal, I expect something in return for that. And we never should have given it away. That was insanely stupid. But here it is, it's 2025, and we're letting the Chinese know, you're not having it. It's ours. We're taking it back. You're not going to send your warships through here. You're not going to send your merchant vessels through here. This is ours. It's a choke point. We are going to dominate. And in the event of a war with China, we are going to turn that choke point off immediately. That's the end of the matter. We are going to turn that choke point off immediately, right away, no questions about it. So I know it's not the sexiest topic. I know that people want to talk about the bombings and all that stuff. But the reality is, it is still a very important topic. And I give credit to Pete Hegseth for going out there and saying the Chinese cannot have this, can't allow it to happen. And we need to go out there and make sure we get control of the Panama Canal. Point blank, period, end of story. And we cannot fail in this endeavor. If we do and we lose it to China, we are in big, 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 big trouble. Comment below with how you want to see the Panama Canal handled. Make sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you guys next time.